You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the March 20th meeting of the Long Beach Fire Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
So we will add one agenda item, Cindy, as you mentioned, and someone else had spoke about it as well, and that is Brian Canier was interested in becoming a member. And I know you, Joy, know more about, what the membership requirements are and how we handle that. I'm not exactly sure.
It's a commission appointment.
Okay.
And it is replacing Rick Luderbach.
Okay. So we would, as the commission, we just say yay or nay or whatever.
Yes,
okay.
And then Cindy was the one who recruited him, so she can let him know, and we'll vote on it. I don't think we even need to. Well, we'll vote on it at the council, but it's up to the committee.
Recommendation from us to you, and then you guys will.
Right.
Okay. All right. I mean, we can knock that out now while we're talking about it. I think
Sure.
Brian's a wonderful guy.
I don't think I know him, but no, Brian.
So he's a kind of a tall guy, got my hairline more or less. He worked with the department for years. He did like the bushes down right by Dave's place, and he did all this landscaping stuff for, I don't know, 10 years or something.
Yeah, quite a while. He's actually a physical therapist.
Right. That's his career. And then she is Meg Canier. She was on the BZA for probably 8 years.
Oh, I think I do.
She's, yeah.
Yeah.
And their daughter is Sarah. He might know Sarah from day camp. Yeah.
Sarah Plooster that did the Long Beach daycare camp for the kids in the summer.
My kids are pretty old.
Well, you're kidding. But she ran that for what? I don't know, 12
Okay.
years or something.
Yeah,
So it's a great family.
I do.
If he's interested, I think he'd be a great asset.
yeah. Cindy said he's interested, so.
Yeah.
He's interested. I spoke with him.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, for my money, I'd say we'd have to recommend
We've
that.
had a community member for probably a year or more, a couple of years now.
Yeah.
we're
Rick's
gonna-
been
Got it out.
Yeah, I would.
I'd be, I
recommend
don't know if we need a
Cool.
formal vote, but if everybody's happy, okay, well, now if you want to tell Brian and you want to handle it however you,
Yeah, I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and you can let Brian know.
Okay, I will. I'll let him know there'll be a vote at the meeting.
Okay.
we may have to do a character reference, though. You might have to take
Yeah,
care of that
okay.
too.
Yeah.
Does Meg know about his volunteerism now? That's the other issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. I spoke with her too. I covered all my bases.
Yeah, it's good to get significant others buy-in because I know how it is. So if I tell her I'm going to be involved in one more committee, she'll shoot me.
Yeah, I know.
So we can start on the agenda, barring any other questions. The new fire truck delivery update. I think what we understand now, Tom.
It's still September-ish timeframe is, Kirk's gonna reach out to them again because we keep hearing rumblings from other fire departments that they're struggling with deliveries on fire trucks. The new fire trucks are almost getting to 3 years now. And they're all made in America. So, I don't know what the challenge is with supply chains or what, but, as far as we know, we're still projected for the fall.
Okay.
So Kurt was gonna reach out, we talked about it on Monday night, and he was just gonna, he's heard nothing from them, so he's, optimistic, but,
Okay.
we'll keep you posted if it changes.
So
in
in terms-
finance, we gotta make sure the finance.
I was going to say, in terms of the finances, then it sounded like from Senders, the last information I received was that it's not going to be a 60-day turnaround to get some financing lined up. So let's say they give us a delivery date of September 1st. We start trying to do something in July or August or something. We should be okay, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. The only other issue relative to fire truck deliveries, I suppose, if we really are looking at a three-year potential delivery for fire trucks, in the capital plan, I think we still have a truck scheduled to replace the last oldest truck after the new one gets delivered. Our next oldest truck will be beyond the NFPA requirements in 2029. So if we wanted to take delivery in 2029, we probably ought to think about ordering in 2026, which would be a year from now. So just as a, kind of an advance warning sort of thing.
I think 3 years is worst case.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't get worse.
Yeah, can't imagine.
all be out of business.
Okay. Recent training initiatives, Cindy, you're new in this situation. What we try to do with this fire commission, a couple of things. We try to keep everybody on the commission abreast of the details that sometimes don't wind up in the council's purview, just, for expediency. This group, we try to, from the fire department side, we try to get, as much information into your hands so you can, between you and Joy, you can be the liaison for the council so that, good information, correct information gets exchanged. So I just thought we'd run through, and Tom, if you want to handle this side,
I can talk to the training, that'd be fine. Kurt's here as well. So Kurt, you know where to jump up front here.
Okay.
Maybe the camera now. Yeah, I mean, we're training, we do fire training the first 2 Mondays of every month. We do medical training the 4th Monday of every month. And we have a business meeting the third Monday. And there's a few months out of the year where there is a 5th Monday, and then we end up filling that with another fire training. So you'll see more of the fire department outdoors during the warmer months. So probably starting up now, not today, but you'll start to see fire training more in the neighborhood. During the winter, we tend to do more. We're actually using this building more for training. In fact, we just did a thermal imaging camera training where we took the upstairs and put fake smoke upstairs, and we use that as a training area. So we're leveraging this building now as best we can without damaging the building. But advantage of the space that we have in here now to do that kind of stuff. So we try to, after every training on our Facebook page, usually there are photos taken of what we're doing that evening. We've been posting those on the Facebook page just so the community is aware of, some of the stuff that we're investing our time in to train on. So, but you will start seeing us out in the neighborhood, doing more scenarios at existing houses, pulling up to fire hydrants, getting water running. So on Monday nights, people might see fire trucks out and about and may have questions or concerns. It's, us doing training on Monday nights.
Okay.
I don't know, John, if you want to talk about electric vehicles at all. I know you went.
Yeah, we actually, 4 of us went over we try to, so there are many opportunities to train. There's the physical aspect. We have a training tower out in, some of this is for Cindy's benefit. She's a new counselor. We train out at Michigan City has training, what we call a training tower, which essentially is some containers, shipping containers all stacked up to imitate or to be a little similar to a house or a commercial structure. We go out there and train with, live smoke and that sort of stuff, and rescues and hose line stretches and all kinds of training out there. But we also do, for lack of a better term, I call them skull sessions, but, training in classrooms. So we went over to Chicago, did a little training on electric vehicles and electric storage units. We have a lot of, relatively new situations in our town where people have electric vehicles, electric golf carts, electric bicycles, everything from electric leaf blowers on up. And there's some very significant risks with those types of battery packs. And that's the training that we did over in Chicago. We just had a call at the country club today. We haven't really talked amongst ourselves, but they have switched all their golf carts to lithium batteries over the last couple of years, and they're all in the basement of the facility. So we have some information to convey to them and quite possibly, get some monitoring in there or something like that for gas. And communication incident command, we did some training on that. One of the big issues in our world is what we call command and control, which means, how do you organize yourselves on the fire scene? A lot of what they call line of duty deaths, which is when a fireman gets injured or killed, come about because you don't organize yourself properly or you don't account for people properly. So one of our big training initiatives is communication and incident command. We did a fire behavior, again, there's the fire service has a lot more the contents of fires and the way homes are built now. Everybody wants wide open spaces. The way they do that from a construction standpoint is they use these big, long structural elements that are made out of smaller elements. So in the old days, when we would pull up to a house, we might have 20 minutes to a half an hour to effect rescues and put fires out because the structure had some innate structural capacity for lengths of time with fire impingement. Now you might have 10 minutes or even less before that structure becomes unsafe. So fire behavior is another one that we spend a lot of time on. And again, the contents of fires, when I was young, you had what do you call it? Linen and wool and cotton. And now you have basically a 55, what the fire training guys tell you, you've got 55 gallons of petroleum sitting in your living room ready to ignite. And it's just a different atmosphere, different dangers. And it makes us change our tactics a little bit. And then Tom mentioned thermal imaging cameras. We have these really kind of neat technological wonders these days, these little cameras we can hold up and it tells us where hot spots are and cooler spots. And it's advantageous for finding victims in the houses and that sort of thing. And we train on that. So anything on training and
No, I think, no, again, you'll see us more out in the neighborhood as the weather gets better. And, so we prefer to do most of our training outdoors, so.
And you'll also sometimes see we'll have individual members or groups of members that'll come down the weekend to do supplemental training. So it might not necessarily be on a Monday evening. You might see on the weekend, several of us out just kind of doing things supplemental to that to get a little bit more one-on-one training or just further refreshers.
by way of introduction, Cindy, I don't know if you know Kurt Ernst. Kurt and Tom share the fire chief duties. So Tom Yemp is down there, the one that you met earlier.
Oh, I know Tom. Yeah, we're neighbors.
Okay, and then this is Kurt Ernst. He's been on
Okay,
the
nice.
26 years.
26 years. And so
Wow.
we've got a great balance of veterans and new people too.
Just, well, Kirk got here, I gave an update on the fire truck. We're still expecting fall, spring.
As I actually reached out to, just so you let you know, the fire truck that we were authorized to purchase back in December of 2023. At the time, you were looking at about a 2-year build, meaning from the time, theoretically, from the time you placed the order, to the time you took delivery. That's been kind of a somewhat, it used to be a year, but since COVID and supply chains and consolidation of manufacturer just gotten worse. I actually did reach out, I haven't heard back to our contact person to get a more hard date. The last time, a couple of months ago, he told me it was September of this year that we'd be able to go out to the facility in Buffalo, New York to do our final inspection and then subsequently take delivery. I've asked him to give me an update on that to see if that's still a hard date or not. And if it is not, also, we'll of course let the town know.
Okay.
And then obviously, once we take delivery of that one, we are probably going to have to start talking about replacing the other one because it's
Yeah,
already long in the
We
tooth.
talked about that. If
That's
3 years,
it, yeah.
we have to think about that one a little earlier than we
Yep.
planned. The engine that we are replacing, we don't do the engine one, which is the oldest engine. We try not to spend too much on maintenance, but there are some annual things that we have to do. We have an outside contractor that comes in to do maintenance. Our engine two, which we will have to maintain between now and the time the second engine is delivered. We just bought some new tires for that. We had some big gouges in the rear tires, and they were actually the original tires. So they're
They were 22 years old.
yeah, they're 22 years old. So it was way past time to replace them. The other thing is we use tire chains in the wintertime and they are not, sometimes they're a little bit rough on the tires as well. We try not to put them on unless we absolutely have to, if there's a big storm coming or whatever.
Yeah, we just did all the oil changes, all the regular maintenance on both fire trucks happened. Coming up over the next couple of months, the annual pump test will happen.
Right.
Where our fire service comes in, tests, make sure the pumps are running in order. We have our ladders get checked annually now. We have a fire service company on call whenever we have major issues. We try to bunch them up into a number of them to save on the trip charges, that kind of thing. But right now, both trucks have passed their recent inspections, so.
We have to, they actually, what this pump test at times referring to, they have to basically certify that the pumps are up to snuff annually.
Right.
You know, they run them hard and make sure that the pressures are equal and the valves are working and all that sort of thing. So that's part of our,
You'll see us doing a hose test.
Mhm.
So one of the warmer nights during one of our training nights, we'll have all of our fire hose from a fire truck laid out, probably on Oriole Trail. And you'll see, for an hour or two, we will have all these hoses filled with water. And at a really high pressure to test all the couplings, all the nozzles, that kind of thing, just to test that the trucks can handle the pressure. So we do that on an annual basis, one truck every year we do, and we dump thousands of feet of fire hose on the street, so.
people sometimes assume that because we're a volunteer organization that somehow we aren't as sophisticated as paid. But what you'll find is in our training and also in our maintenance and everything else that we do around here, we have every bit of the same training and the same issues, and we tackle the same problems, and so we're a pretty professional group. Planned purchases, I just want to touch on this briefly. We're going to try with, Kurt, you want to talk a little?
Yeah, a couple of things. Just so you're aware, this February and then next February, we are receiving a check of $15,000 in each year from the county. That's for some funds they'd set aside for firefighting. After that year, 2026, it'll go down to 10,000. It's going to be long-termly part of that lit tax they passed a couple of years ago at the county, which is specifically designed for fire, police, and EMS. And so the county gives us money directly as a fire department. The town also gets money in addition of which we can utilize as well. What we're doing is we applied the $15,000 we got just recently, and we're upgrading what's called our personal protective equipment, our pants and coats, things of that nature, because several of them are coming out of date and not in compliance with regulations, and they're just getting old. And so I just ordered just get the idea, five sets of gear, pants and coats, and 2 sets of boots was $18,000. This stuff isn't cheap. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to get ourselves into a pattern at a minimum, like when this money comes in at this time, is to at least earmark that, which we're supposed to earmark it for that purpose, to upgrade the gear. So the hope is in a couple of years, we'll have everybody with updated gear, at least pants, coats. We did the helmets a couple of years ago. Boots, we kind of do as need be. I had to do that after I broke my foot. I have to get a different size boot so I could fit into it. So we did that. We're also looking long-term things that we can do to properly equip the new engine when it comes in. John talked about the handheld thermal imagers. We have 2 presently in our newer first out vehicle, and we plan on buying 2 for that. And then there's also something called a RIT pack, which is a rapid intervention team. It's a device that's designed if we have a downed firefighter in breathing air, it's a separate breathing apparatus with various types of hoses that we can carry in, hook to that victim, and keep that person alive or keep them breathing while we can extricate them. We have one now. Ideally, we want to have it till we have one for each engine, so that way we have double the capacity, or if we happen to be on mutual aid assisting an department, and then we have a fire here, we have equal capability. And so those are kind of little things like that that we're looking to do in the next year or so. Have a decent amount of money with which to do it, so we can make sure that that truck is up to snuff just as the other truck is.
Okay.
Kurt touched on lit, and I just want to kind of get you up to speed. I know Joy understands this, but I don't know. Cindy, so there's what's called a local income tax, LIT. It's essentially outside of our levy on property tax, and anybody that works in LaPorte County or resides in LaPorte County pays a little bit on their income to this fund. Originally, it had, I want to say, 1.5% or something.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
So it was just a relatively small amount. The county, about 2 years ago, realized that they were having a problem retaining public safety officers, mostly paid guys, like police officers and firefighters, and they were losing, cities and towns were losing people to Porter County cities and towns. So they said, hey, we've got to do something with the salaries. So they passed this marginal increase in that tax. So I want to say it was like a 0.5% or something that they jumped it up, which they're perfectly legal. And we are at that point, we were one of the lowest income taxes in the whole state from a county standpoint. What that means is when they jumped that up, again, like Kurt mentioned, it was specifically earmarked for public safety, meaning it could only be spent on those 3 agencies that Mark mentioned, or Kurt mentioned, that is police, fire, and EMS. For the town of Long Beach, that meant that we had a brand new income source of about $270,000 annually. So when we did this building, for instance, we looked at that as further enabling the affordability for the interest and principal payments on the building, in addition to funding the increases that we gave to our police officers back in that year that this was initiated. So we took about 70 or 80 of that, like 3 years ago, and increased the the police officer salaries. And then we used it for some other payroll last year, but I'm not sure exactly how they budgeted this year. But essentially that was not, I won't say free money. It comes off the hides of the county residents, but it's not a property tax, and it is something that we're able to use for public safety, which is a wonderful thing.
And you think the percentage will stay steady for the foreseeable future?
I don't even know if they can reduce it.
Yeah, I think the only thing that if they have to have an action and basically a vote to either change it one way or the other, it doesn't just on its own morph into something different.
No
They have to take some type of
fluctuation.
action, to either reduce it or raise it. And we have enough, I think, friends of the EMS and fire on the county council that I don't think that's going to happen. I also want to clarify something. When I talked about that $15,000, that's separate than the money the town gets. And the reason the
Okay.
county did that is that a good share of the volunteer departments in the county do not have a municipality, and the lit taxes only go to a municipality like town of Long Beach. Versus if you get out into places like Center Township, Cool Spring Township, Noble Township, they're not in a municipality and they otherwise would not take advantage of this lit money. So the county earmarks some of that money to give it directly to those volunteer departments equally. So we get that $15,000 or $10,000 from the county, and the town gets its lit money separate. So I want to make sure there's no confusion. Those are the same. They're technically paid separate.
So the town gets to do whatever they want with that 270, but it does have to be public safety oriented. Public safety building, just to shift gears, the septic system is up and running. It's I won't get into the history, but it's way over designed. The use of this building hasn't changed from when we first put the first permit application that was approved when we first got a septic system permit. So it really hasn't changed. We hardly ever flush the toilet around here, actually. But at any rate, that thing's up and running, which is wonderful. We got a quote from a vendor for a new vent fan in the gear storage area. Did we talk about that at the meeting the other night? I think
No, we didn't talk about Monday.
We did
Oh, okay. I think the fire department was probably gonna it's about $3,000 or something. We were gonna put that in. It just helps us. When we come back from fires, our gear is sloppy wet. We have a gear room where we hang our stuff. And we just needed a little more ventilation in there. So I think we were gonna do that. Annual maintenance, HVAC, Mark took care of the filter changes, but there's a contract on this. And one thing I will say for anybody that hasn't been around long, for years, things got neglected for one reason or another in terms of the plant and equipment. Having the town administrator, particularly this particular town administrator, has been wonderful in terms of keeping an eye on facilities and maintenance. So things like the septic tank hadn't been pumped in 15 years, long before this building was put up, and Mark took care of that. We had some pump issues. He's taking care of the HVAC equipment up top. So we're in a proactive mode now rather than reacting. I remember when I first came on the council, Bill knocked on the door one day, Bill Defuniak, and said, "Hey, we got a $90,000 end loader payment coming up." Nobody knew about it. The sad thing is when you're budgeting, you really kind of try to, and we've initiated this capital plan, which is absolutely wonderful. We're looking forward now. We're organized. We know what we have coming up. So I think that's a wonderful thing. And in terms of this building, then there is a contract, maintenance contract. So there's a contractor that comes out and maintains those units, which I think is important for the long haul.
There's also a cleaning service that comes in here every couple of weeks as well. So we take care of that. We share that cost.
Public outreach, I just want to mention this. We had a very successful CPR class that the fire department put on in conjunction with the police. And we had, I think, 18 or something.
Over 20.
Yeah, over
Yeah,
20.
Getting ready to schedule our next one. We talked about that on Monday night.
Like May 31st?
May 31st is the date we're targeting. I think Alex Pollock is going to check with Mark on that just to figure out whether the date works. But we're getting a lot of people from the community reaching out, interested in doing CPR. We think as we get to the beginning of summer, we can easily fill a class. So we're looking to do, I think we're hoping to do one maybe once a quarter.
At least.
As long as we have.
It's so nice to have this facility to be able to do that. We can move these. We specifically bought this furniture such that it can be moved around, and it's just been a wonderful place to do these sorts of things. And I forgot where I was going with that, but anyway.
Actually, if I can supplement one thing on that, one of the things that's kind of spearheaded that, we had some grant money from a health foundation out of LaPorte that is very, very generous in giving grants towards healthcare things. We've also got a bunch of defibrillators from them and training mannequins, which we use for this training. There's a program that is in place. Matter of fact, LaPorte City became the first heart health city in the state of Indiana. And the significance of that is that they have enough people certified in CPR. They have an app you can put on your phone. And once you're certified in CPR, you can actually get that app and you are actually paged out by 911 simultaneously
Wow.
with EMS to where if you're in the area, you can be told, hey, next door, just down the street, someone's having a heart attack. And if you're certified and have this app, you can actually go there and render aid and CPR, which LaPorte City has had a great deal of success with. And believe it or not, after them, Long Beach is probably the next one likely that could move in that direction. They talk about us and LaPorte as the two kind of trend centers on that thing.
Pulse point.
Pulse point is what it's called. And we're hoping that with this training over the next year or so, we can get enough people to where we can be as effective in that for our community as well. And I was talking to the chief of LaPorte City Fire. He says a lot of times they'll actually have someone there that just happened to get the text or thing from their app. They actually beat the fire department there. That's a full-time career department. And so we're hoping we can do that here as well with this training and provide a better service for our sometimes aged community.
Perfect.
The town, as you know, Kayla's been doing a great job with this updating the newsletter and getting it on a periodic basis. We'll try to be a little more proactive in terms of getting some articles in there relative to some of the fire safety issues that we want to get out to the town.
Dave Albers is working with Kayla on putting a whole section about fire department stuff. especially
Super.
for summer.
You know, we have issues like smoke detector batteries and what are some of the others we encourage behaviors?
Key holders.
Key holders when, you know, people are out of town for 8 months or 6 months or 2 months.
Do not
That we have.
precipitate orders.
Well, yeah, so so we're able to get into houses. You know, some people leave a key with the police department or they have a neighbor with a key or whatever. Otherwise, you know, we get a fire alarm goes off at 2 a.m. We've got to break a window to go in and make sure something's okay. So there's a bunch of things we'd like to get into the public arena as far as information. And we're going to do that on that new website, new article, newsletter. The last thing with social media, you may or may not know, the fire department as well as the police department. And I think the town has a social media presence now,
Yep.
Facebook. So we're trying to be a little more, you know, public face situation. So
We'll be participating in the Notre Dame running race this weekend as well.
Oh, yeah.
Our role primarily is to be on hand for medical and to block roads with some of our efforts. So we've been doing this for the past 3 or 4 years that the race has been running. So we'll be present.
you know, something just dawned on me. Cindy, you may or may not be aware. So the Coast Guard's staffing has changed actually just this year. So they used to be there 24/7 all year round. Now, I believe even in the summer, they're only going to be
weekends.
only on the weekends. So there's an initiative right now. I think you guys approved that last, I believe you did.
He did.
So we have a great asset. We've got a young man, one of our brand new policemen, is a former Coastie, and he is heading up that effort. We may try to get involved with Michigan City and wind up with a rescue boat out there that's a little more stout than what we had this little runabout that's reached its end of its life. But the fact that they're not around and we have such a long coastline, you know, it's going to probably be to our town's advantage to be involved with that program. So hopefully we can that eventually. They're trying to get a grant right now is what that money went for, I believe.
They're trying to get a grant and we're gonna come up with a group agreement with Michigan City. They've agreed to. So they'll share in the cost of mooring the boat and servicing the boat, and it will cover both areas.
Be good.
Sweet.
We need it.
That's really all I have. Kurt, Brian Canier was brought to our attention by Cindy, and everybody just thought he'd be a great addition to the fire commission. So unless you have any objection, Joy's going to take it back to the council. She and Cindy and.
If they're happy with them, I'm happy with them.
Okay.
So Cindy, I don't know if you had any questions or anything, or.
No, I appreciate all the information. That was a great overview. I feel like you brought me up to snuff, so it's great. Thank you.
We won't normally wax on that long, but I thought with your freshman meeting here that.
Yeah, right. I feel like I needed it, so that was great. And next time I'll be there, so.
Okay, great.
If there are any questions, just find me on the street. We can talk.
Yeah,
And we all have emails on the town email system too. So if you ever needed to get a hold of anybody, that's certainly an option. Okay,
I'll do that.
well, I guess we're all done. 30.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
All right.
Bye, Cindy.